If I started a new Etsy print-on-demand shop this year, this is exactly what I would do. I'm going to share the most important things to focus on. I've been selling on Etsy as one of my passive income streams since just before 2019, and I have opened multiple different shops year after year after year just to get a feel for how Etsy is going, any changes that may be happening, and some things have stayed consistently the same while some things have changed just a bit. But there is for sure a 100% proven way to build an Etsy store from scratch, and I'm really excited to share that with you here on this channel. Now, always bear in mind that there are multiple ways to do everything in the world based on your personal goals and your instinctive nature. So I'm not one of those weird teachers that's going to tell you my way is the only way and any other way is wrong, because that's just not how it works. There is lots of ways to do things, and I'm just going to show you the way that I have found that works the best for me and many others that have learned from me as well. And I do know that it can be a little overwhelming with all the differences and opinions and advice out here. So just take a deep breath, take it one day at a time, and as you go, as you absorb yourself in more training and learning, it's going to become easier and easier to understand and take action every single day. And just recently, I had the privilege of working with 200 Etsy sellers for an entire year, where I went live with them once per week and worked with them in a mastermind group on Facebook. And their results for their first year were absolutely incredible. So I'm going to put a chart for you on the screen here so you can see how their sales progressed throughout the year. And as you can see, in December, their sales were absolutely explosive. So what this shows you is that you need to practice patience in the beginning, because as you can see, a seasoned store that has been around for a year, the sales once you get to the holiday season in December can almost triple. So all of that hard work that you put in throughout the year is going to pay off for you massively in the month of December. And so here's a comment from an Etsy seller who I worked with for a full year, Lynn, and she said, everything you taught us that it might take a year to really get going, and that fourth quarter would make it all worth it. Absolutely true. I more than tripled what I made all year in the fourth quarter. And then we had April. She said, I had 2 bestsellers that I'm absolutely so happy about. My store is growing and I can't wait for the next Q4, right? We live for Q4 around here. So make sure you start out just focusing on the process that you're doing and not the amount of sales that you're getting right away. The process and the time that you put in is what's going to pay off in the long run. And we call this the compound effect. So Etsy is one of my long-term game plans for passive income. And if you set it up in an automated way with print on demand, then you can truly at some point set it and forget it, and then just focus on light customer service duties. Now, when it comes to growing a store, research is something that is always going to be important. But don't be afraid to hone in on some of your personal interests as well, because that might make it more fun for you. Now, there are lots of tools out here to help you with your research, and a lot of them are good, and there are some people that even build stores without tools. Now, I personally would never build a store without a tool, and that all comes down to personal preference and your goals. I do 100% of my research and my marketing on the Etsy platform because that's where my customers are, and I want to make sure that the data that I'm looking at is Etsy customer driven. Because in my opinion, the data that comes directly from Etsy is the best data that you can use when building an Etsy shop. And the tool that I like to use for my research is called Sales Samurai. And the reason that I like to use this tool is that it's actually probably not the most popular tool, and that is one of the reasons why I use it, because a lot of people are getting data from different tools and people are honing into a lot of the same products, whereas with Sales Samurai, there's a Chrome extension that you can go to right on Etsy, and you can use that to really dig down deep into some gems that not a lot of other Etsy sellers are finding. And a lot of the sellers that have worked with me have shared that their results completely changed, right? It was a game changer when they started using Sales Samurai for their research and their keywords for their listings. So I personally would never build a store without this tool. So I do have a coupon for you linked down below if you want to test it out for yourself. And if you've been using Sales Samurai, drop me a comment down below and let me know how it's going for you. So as you're starting on your research, I would recommend gathering together 25 to 50 listings that you can list straight away in your store to really get it popping off. Etsy loves to see action, and you also want to make sure that when customers come to your store that you have a storefront filled with items to choose from. So 25 to 50 is about the right number for me. And that can also include variations. So you don't need to come up with 50 whole new product ideas. They can be in different colors or fonts or just variations of that initial product that you created. And then you want to make sure that you're presenting it in the best way possible to your potential customers. Now, after reviewing hundreds of different Etsy shops from sellers that I worked with, one of the biggest mistakes that I saw that they were making is their mock-ups. They were messing these up horribly when it comes to visually being appealing to the customer. So they would have a model, say, in a sweatshirt, and the model would be super far away, so it would be hard to see the design. So you want to get it so that it's really up close on the design, but you can still get a somewhat good view of the model. And you also want to look at what are the best sellers on Etsy in your category. What do their thumbnails actually look like? Because that's going to give you a good insight onto what Etsy customers are looking at and what they are purchasing from. Next, as you start getting sales, you want to make sure that you're actually listening to your customers' feedback. Your customers will tell you where there are actually gaps in your store. They will start asking you, hey, could you make one for this particular breed of dog? Hey, could you make one in this color? And then you add that particular product to your store, and that is how you expand your store from there. And now last but certainly not least is that you want to have an ad strategy for Etsy centered around holidays, right? Etsy is a huge gift giving platform. People come to Etsy for unique gifts. And if you can run your ads towards those gift giving holidays, you can absolutely crush it. And my favorite holidays to do this with on Etsy is Mother's Day and Christmas. So make sure that you really bulk your stores out with products geared towards gifts for those seasons, and be sure to use the keywords Christmas gifts and Mother's Day gifts. Then I turn my ads on a couple months out from the holiday, and I continue adding products all the way up to the week of the holiday, and the sales just become explosive. So I am a huge proponent of paid ads. I don't understand why anybody wouldn't run ads on Etsy because they are so lucrative if you do it in the right way. The only reason why I would recommend not doing ads on Etsy is if you are just starting out and you have zero budget. In that case, you still absolutely can build a store on Etsy without running ads and just doing it organically. And I understand what that's like to not have a budget, because when I first got started online in 2010, I had maxed out credit cards, no money in the bank, and I started making money in kind of a desperate state. So if that's you, just put one foot in the other, do whatever you can to get going, and just know that the only way to fail is if you quit. So if you do all of these things and you stay plugged into trainings, you watch a video every single day on a new way to grow your Etsy shop, just stay plugged in, absorb yourself in the information. If you can do that, your chances of success are going to be very high. So don't overthink this. Stick in it for the long game. You've got this. Do the daily actions and keep it moving. Now, if you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because I'm probably going to release a part 2 on the mindset that it takes to win on Etsy. And this is something that not a lot of other people are talking about, and it is super essential when it comes to creating success in any type of business. So hit that subscribe, give this video a like. I'm going to link all of my best resources for you down below. Make it an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.